Shira Lazar is not your typical incredibly hot journalist. She's a woman in search of something different and amazing and epic.
Tony! Are you there? It's Shira!
Unfortunately for Shira, today she'll have to settle for me.
Hi, Shira. Come on in.
You're such a goof. Hey, welcome to the Partners Project. I'm right now with Tony V. Well, it's so great to have you here. You're reinventing dark horror video and content on YouTube.
I am me, Tony V, and I am the curator and director of BlackBoxTV.
Tell people what BlackBoxTV is all about.
So BlackBoxTV is an anthology series, and originally it was supposed to be more of sort of sci-fi and horror, and I think we've ended up doing a lot more horror stuff. One, it's easier to shoot, obviously, because you can do a lot of stuff practically. The main thing behind BlackBoxTV is I really wanted just to create something where you could set up a story, give them a really good twist, and they would walk away going like, what was that? I like the episodes the most where I'm actually dealing with something that I'm really afraid of, and that's what's given the sort of the continuing ability to write the stories and put the stories out there. Is, you know, I was always the kid who had the dreams that he was running from something and he didn't know what it was, and you really see that in episode 3. BlackBoxTV is me sort of turning around and facing all of those things and looking at them and then saying, what are you? This is insane! I made this logo to remind myself that no matter how scary it is, like there always has to be a heart at the center of it. There always has to be people that you care about, because if not, you're just like, it's just like a scare fest.
Yeah.
And I think obviously the biggest challenge is you're doing short form. So you really want to get the people into the story and really feeling the story and being a part of those characters before you start twisting it into this thing that is BlackBoxTV.
Well, how do you do that? What's your process of creating these stories and the characters?
That's a good question, because it's always a little bit different. I always start with some sort of moment of fear or a lack of information. Like, there's no information at this point.
Don't be so nervous. This is gonna be fun.
You're at your house, suddenly it goes dark, right? And then I think that's such a cliche. What is that? That's so obvious. And then I start wrapping it around with all these things like, well, it's actually dark because you can't see. And maybe it's a person who was blind who suddenly had an experience where they suddenly could see, but then they were blind again in their dream, and there's like, you start wrapping it and wrapping it and wrapping it. And then as soon as I have that, that's like the outer shell. That's the thing. Then I always try to inject into it something personally from my life, whether it's somebody from my life or it's something that's happened to me like in the past. Then that gives it the heart.
I lost you. How did you get started with all of this?
I was a creative director. I used to design key art. I had done it for a couple of television networks, and it was awesome. I loved doing that. It was really, really fun. I worked on like Veronica Mars, CSI, America's Next Top Model, like all of these different shows, and I just loved creating these beautiful pictures. And then during the writer's strike, everybody sort of was panicking, like, what are we gonna do? And for me, I was reading about Stage 9. I was reading about the guys from Equal. I was reading about Big Fantastic, and I was like, I want to do that. That looks cool. I want to just go make all those films that have always been in my head. And so I did my first web series, 2009, A True Story.
I should have left already.
And I posted it on VO and on YouTube, and then Phil DeFranco, my best friend today, he pointed to it from a show, the Phil DeFranco Show, and it blew up overnight, and I was suddenly like, what's happening on YouTube? Like, I went from having like a couple hundred views to a couple of 100,000 views in just a couple of days. It was quite a shock for me. I didn't understand like what was happening, but I knew there was a community growing there. And then I did 13 episodes of that, and I stopped, because you stop, right? Like, you stop and you go on to the next series, and all the fans were like, more. I'm like, why did they want more? Didn't they see it ended? Yeah, no, did they see that it ended? And after that I did Harper's Globe. That was such a blast.
Someone is trying to kill me, please! Anybody!
For me, it showed me, oh, I love this thing that people call horror, but just as me, just all these like little strange stories that are floating in my head because I'm such a weird dude. I came off of Green Art World and Phil was like, hey, do you want to come and work with me? I'm gonna start doing more stuff. I did one short for the station, Zombies.
Here, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
I talked to Phil. I was like, I want to launch a channel called BlackBoxTV, and I want it to be like Zombies, but without the gags. I never thought BlackBoxTV would blow up. I just wanted to do things that I loved, and I'm really, really happy that the audience has been there. The biggest challenge is, how do I become a better director, a better writer? How do I tell a better story? How can I not do the cliche? How can I take those archetypes of fear, the things that scare us all, and create a new sort of form and a new shape and give them a new language and a new visual language? That's so challenging. Like I'm an idiot that I did this channel. Like, you need to know this, to do a horror channel, but I had to do it. There was like no other choice.
Let's talk about your inspirations. Do you have any people that you've looked up to?
It started for me with Ray Bradbury. I was like selling like candy bars in front of a Pick and Save, like for student government. And I started reading Ray Bradbury because we had to read him for school, and I fell in love because he has great twists. Like, he has awesome twists. But also you can see there's the Rod Serling influence that comes into it. And then there's people like Richard Kelly, who, like I was telling you earlier, I met at the ArcLight, who knew what BlackBoxTV was, which blew me away.
That's so cool, right?
That was really cool because I love Donnie Darko. You know, if every episode could be as good as Donnie Darko, I'd be in heaven, and they'd be a lot longer.
I know, right?
Everyone would
It'd take much longer as well.
Much more to do. Yeah.
Is it important to collaborate with other YouTubers?
Yeah, I think because what we've created on YouTube is this awesome like social creative community, and I think it's really important that you stay connected and that you work with your friends, because it helps you, and they know coming onto set, they know how much work it's going to take to make something awesome. So there's never any like confusion. And then you have people like Terrence Southern, who is amazingly awesome trained actress. She actually shot right over here on my dining room table. She came in and did that whole episode, I think, in 6 hours. She was so good. It was one of the few times where I was like, just go. Okay, good, got it, go.
You were loving the experience.
I was just loving the experience, you know, and I didn't have to do a lot of directing that day. I got to do, which is my favorite thing, which is just capturing the moment, constantly capturing the moment, lighting the moment correctly, and just recording it. Like, YouTube is stretched into this like entertainment portal that's never existed before, and it's never existed before in our history, that creators could just upload stuff and get it to an audience. There's always been this control of distribution, and that's changed. And so for me, it's like, I want to do the TV show and then tell even more stories on YouTube, especially just for YouTube. And then of course I'm getting into filmmaking. So it's like, BlackBoxTV is so much bigger than me, so I just got to keep up with it at this point, you know, and just keep creating great stuff.
Where do you see the future of BlackBoxTV?
Everywhere. It'll be everywhere. Every screen. Small screens, big screens, really big screens. Why else would I do it if I didn't think it could be everywhere?
I love your passion. And I love how forward-thinking you are, and you're reinventing how we see stories on YouTube, so thank you. And of course, thanks to all of you for watching this episode. We'll see you next week on The Partners Project. Thank you so much to Tony V for letting us into his very dark world. Subscribe to BlackBoxTV right here. Subscribe to us right here. For outtakes from this episode, go right here. Stay tuned next week, we are talking to Nice Peter from the epic rap battles of history. Ask all your nice questions for him in the comments below. See you next week.